You are watching the most expensive fireworks display in human history. During the opening hours of the current regional escalation, defensive systems vaporized $1.1 billion in less than 240 minutes. This is the audited reality of the Interceptor tax, where the survival of a sovereign state is tied directly to the liquidity of its central bank. Behind every kinetic flash in the night sky lies a cold, calculating ledger that is currently draining the world's most advanced military-industrial complexes at an unprecedented rate. Every successful interception is a tactical victory, but a strategic withdrawal from the national treasury. In recent fiscal reports, the Israeli Ministry of Finance recorded a debt-to-GDP ratio breaching the critical 71% threshold. This technical failure point triggered a sovereign credit downgrade from Moody's to a Baa1 rating, making every subsequent loan for the war effort significantly more expensive. The daily operational expenditure for the IDF has stabilized at an estimated $242 million. This figure covers only the direct kinetic costs, fuel, munitions, and active duty pay, ignoring the structural erosion of the high-tech sector, which has seen a nearly 20% contraction in venture capital inflow as investors recalibrate for long-term instability. The United States is fueling this defensive grid with a $26.4 billion emergency supplemental package. However, over 70% of this capital never physically leaves American soil. It is rerouted into the production lines of RTX and Lockheed Martin to replace depleted stocks of interceptors. A single SM-3 Block 2A interceptor now carries a price tag of approximately $9.7 million per unit. During recent ballistic missile waves, these multi-million-dollar assets were expended in rapid succession to stop threats that cost less than a luxury family vehicle. It is a trade of finite, high-precision jewelry for infinite, low-cost scrap metal. This is the mathematics of asymmetrical bankruptcy. The Iranian Ghost Fleet, utilizing a shadow network of over 400 aging tankers with disabled transponders, generated an estimated $35 billion in illicit oil revenue during the last fiscal year. They convert this crude oil into tens of thousands of Shahed loitering munitions, each priced at a mere $30,000. The financial ratio of defense has reached a catastrophic 1 to 100. This forces the West to engage in a war of attrition, where the objective is not to occupy territory, but to force the opponent's central bank into a state of default. The economic shockwaves have reached the maritime arteries of the global north, turning the Red Sea into a graveyard of logistics. Shipping insurance premiums for vessels transiting the Bab al-Mandab Strait have surged by over 1,200% since the start of the campaign. What was once a routine 10-day passage through the Suez Canal has become a 24-day circumnavigation of the Cape of Good Hope. Each diverted voyage adds an estimated $1.2 million in fuel and labor costs alone. This creates a silent inflation engine, raising the price of every container in Europe, proving that a drone launched from a desert can change the price of milk in London. By the end of this cycle, the cost of reconstruction in Gaza alone is projected to exceed $80 billion, requiring the removal of 40 million tons of debris. This is a financial black hole that exceeds the total GDP of many developing nations. The true price of this escalation is not measured in casualties alone, but in the generational debt being manufactured in real time. As the batteries reload, they are not just launching missiles, they are launching future economic stability into the void. Stay focused on the numbers, because the numbers never lie, even when the politicians do. You are witnessing the rapid cannibalization of a first-world economy. Beyond the missile plumes, a silent war is being fought within the fiber-optic cables of the region's high-tech sector. The cost of neutralizing state-sponsored cyber offensives targeting the financial grid has exceeded $4.2 billion in defensive infrastructure. It isn't just about hacking. It's about the cyber military surcharge, attacks on every transaction, as banks are forced to operate in permanent air-gapped protocols. This digital siege has led to an unauthorized elevation of risk, causing a significant contraction in venture capital as the world's most advanced tech incubator begins to flicker. The streets of the most visited historical sites now reflect the empty world syndrome. The total collapse of the tourism sector has vaporized billions in projected revenue. Hotels that once housed millions are now staging grounds for the internal displacement of over 200,000 citizens, creating a secondary economic crater. This is the domestic burn rate, where the government pays the salaries of 300,000 mobilized reservists while their private sector roles remain vacant. The resulting productivity loss is currently estimated at $600 million per week, a structural bleed that no amount of foreign aid can easily cauterize. The ammunition hunger of this escalation is rewriting the laws of industrial physics. A single battery of the David Sling system requires a logistical tail that costs more than the annual budget of a mid-sized city. The burn rate for Patriot PAC-3 interceptors has reached a critical failure point, with stocks being expended at 4 times the maximum global replacement rate. This has triggered a global munition premium, where procurement costs are rising for rare earth minerals used in seeker-head guidance systems. We are not just outgunned, we are being outpriced by the very materials we need to survive. The Gaza Reconstruction bill is no longer a humanitarian theory. It is a financial weapon of mass destruction. Estimates have spiked toward $84 billion to restore 2023 level habitation standards. This requires the removal of 40 million tons of debris, much of it contaminated with unexploded ordnance and toxic particulates. To fund this, the international community is debating complex debt instruments that would effectively mortgage the region's future for the next 50 years. Behind the diplomacy lies the cold math. The cost to rebuild a single city block is now 12 times the cost of the munitions used to level it. This is the era of sovereign exhaustion. As the national debt spirals, the central bank's remaining foreign currency reserves are being utilized to maintain the value of the currency against a predatory market. The win condition has shifted. It is no longer about holding a hill or a border. It is about which central bank can survive the liquidity trap of a perpetual high-intensity conflict. Every siren in the night is the sound of another withdrawal from a vault that is slowly running dry. The truth isn't in the victory parades. It's in the sovereign credit ratings that are being slashed in the dark. The global defense architecture is currently hitting its physical ceiling. As of March 2026, the backlog for Patriot PAC-3 and SM-3 interceptors at RTX and Lockheed Martin facilities has stretched into a 32-month lead time, a structural bottleneck that money cannot solve. While the U.S. approved massive aid packages, the industrial base is physically paralyzed by a global nitrocellulose shortage, the primary raw material for high explosives. This is the nitro crisis. The price of a single 155mm artillery shell has surged by 400%, from $2,100 to over $8,400 per unit in less than 24 months. We are no longer outgunned. We are being outpriced by the very chemistry of war. In Kiryat Gat, the silence at Intel's $25 billion Fab 38 construction site is becoming the most expensive noise in the world. Every idle day at this high-tech semiconductor plant costs the global economy an estimated $9.2 million in delayed future output, threatening the entire 2-nanometer processor supply chain. This is the technological siege. As sovereign wealth funds liquidate assets to cover the $242 million daily IDF burn rate, the region's status as a safe haven for venture capital is evaporating. The winner of this escalation won't be the one with the most missiles, but the one who still has a functioning manufacturing base by next fiscal year. We are entering the era of the Pacific opportunity cost. Every high-end SM-3 interceptor launched in the Red Sea is an asset physically removed from the U.S. Pacific Pivot defense strategy for 2027. We are burning through the stockpiles meant to deter a conflict in Asia to stop $30,000 drones launched from the desert. The win condition is no longer a flag in the sand, but a solvent balance sheet that can survive a decade of generational debt. Subscribe to Leviathan Files. Stay curious, and remember, the truth remains buried in the ledger of a world that is rapidly going bankrupt.